So we've talked about why the first book is so hard in another video. But that doesn't really apply if what you feel when you sit down to write is guilt. I call this writer's guilt, and it affects a lot of people, women especially. It comes from the idea that writing isn't productive or important or something like that. But where does this idea come from? And more importantly, is it true? And how do we get over it? Hi, novelteers. Hi, novelteers. I'm Devlin Blake, novel writing and self-publishing expert, coach, published author, and former ghostwriter of over 200 books. If you'd like to know how to work with me, you can check out the links in the description. In my membership site, I cover a lot of productivity tips, but no amount of productivity tips in the world is going to get you over writer's guilt. So where does writer's guilt come from? One word: conditioning. In the USA specifically, and likely similarly based countries as well, we have a strange relationship with anything considered art. I say strange because we say it has no value and that being an artist is not the best use of our time, yet in our darkest times we turn to artists to keep our spirits up and not just unalive ourselves. The pandemic proved this, and that's been true for all of human history, not just the West. Also, the highest paid jobs in this part of the world are in the entertainment industry: actor, athlete, and so on. I did want to say entrepreneurship is not considered a job, it's something else, it's working for yourself, so I'm not counting that for the purposes of this video. So we rely on art so much and value it so highly that the highest paid people in our world are actors and athletes. Why do we say art has no value? Because it has power. Art, and writing is a type of art, has an immense power to change the shape of the world, to normalize the inconceivable, to bring attention to the overlooked, to question the sacred. Great thoughts and great change have always been started by great art. The Renaissance, the Enlightenment, the entire American Revolution. These things happened because new ideas spread, and new ideas spread in part because of art. As ideas became part of our very being, change became inevitable. Even today, an Italian college did a study that showed children were more empathetic after reading Harry Potter as opposed to before they read Harry Potter. This was scored by questions and tests. Also, children who grow up reading horror are less likely to be anxious adults. Additionally, a child's first foray into understanding the world is in the pictures they draw, the stories they tell, the dances they do, and the art they create. It's ingrained in us. Before we understand anything else, we understand art. So why do we act like we hate it in this culture? Well, again, it's because of that power. The powers that be understand that a culture that allows art to freely flourish is one that will soon have everything it's built on called into question. And it should actually have everything it's built on called into question, because sometimes it's built on not anything good. But to outright ban art would result in more people wanting to do it. If history shows us anything, it shows us that. That's how bans work. For example, the book ban we're doing right now in America, this is going to backfire horribly because we've done the whole book banning thing in this country several times. It might work short term, but long term, it always collapses. Anyone familiar with the phrase banned in Boston? It got to the point where people were trying to get their books banned in Boston because it sold better everywhere else if you could say this is a banned book. So instead of trying to ban it, the culture has demonized art. It's made you think it's silly, childish, unrealistic, and unproductive. It's this conditioning that makes you feel guilty every time you sit down to write. It's these subconscious voices in your head that want to silence you and everyone else with something to say. And your something to say doesn't have to be super important. If you make someone's day better, if you keep them holding on, if you become their favorite book, then that's super important enough, even if you're writing something that people would claim have no value, like shifter romance. Freeing yourself of this guilt is not only good for you and your book, it's good for the world. It encourages people to continue. Writing and publishing anything is a rebellious act, so there's no need to feel guilty for it. That's what they want. And as for people understanding, they likely won't. Probably not your friends and family either, because they've been affected by the same conditioning you have. Rebellion is always seen as stupid and unproductive right up until the point when it's not. So it's time to embrace your writing destiny and actually write that book. If you need help figuring out how to become someone's favorite book, this is something I teach in the Novel Writers Club. You can find the links in the description below. And remember to like and subscribe to see more videos on writing and publishing your novel. Until next time, this is Devlin Blake saying write on.